Okay, so I want to talk about in my last video for this about comparing strings and then doing a little bit with like compound operator, like logical operations, which isn't really that big of a deal. Strings are a little bit weird. Strings are different than integers, or different than doubles, and they just get stored in the computer slightly differently than integers and doubles. And we're going to get into this a little bit later when we start talking about objects and get into really the meaty part of Java. But for now, we can just, when we want to compare two strings, it's best to use this equals thing. So if we want to compare to see if two strings are equal, we should figure out whatever string we want to compare and then hit dot equals and then compare it to another word. So for example, if I have my name here, Casey Moden, split into two different strings, and I want to see if these two things are equal, I could just choose whichever one I want to kind of compare against the other. I'm going to choose name 1. I could choose name 2, it doesn't matter. And then a string, again, is a little bit weird. String has some properties with it. Like, unlike integers, which don't really have any, and we'll get into this when we talk about string methods, but a string has some kind of features already with it. And one of those features is equals. We can, and there's like, you can see there's actually a whole ton of these things. Oh man, look at all these different things we can do with strings. But all we want to do is look at equals. And this is going to take in, it's going to compare name 1, and it's going to see if it's equal to another string. So if I put in name 2, and it's going to return, this whole thing is going to turn into either a true or false value. So when we run this, these two names are not going to be the same, so it should print out false. If I compared like name 1 to itself, it's going to be true. Or if I compare name 1 to, let's see if I actually just type in my name. Yeah, it's going to be true. Where's my type in order? Pretty straightforward. So the equals thing, it's a very deep concept to explain why it doesn't work. It might work on simple examples, but when you get into higher level coding, you're going to run into problems. So using this equals to compare these two things is really important. I think we can talk a little bit later on about, we have to get into objects to explain why we use this equals and not an equal sign. But that's just one of those things that there's a lot of depth to coding, and we will get there when we get there. So, and some things we'll just have to accept before we can truly understand why they work. So last thing is logical operations. So we can combine two checks, like two conditional checks, by using these symbols. So this symbol means like and means like both things have to be true in order for the code to run. This means or, which means just one of them has to be true in order for it to run. So I won't go into Replit, but like right here you could see, okay, int num7, this thing means we're going to make two comparisons. We're going to compare both these things. If both of these things are true, then we'll run what's underneath here. Otherwise, we're going to run what's down here. So let's see, 7 is greater than 4, that's true. 7 is less than 11, okay, that is true. We'll run that. Another thing here, but if we did like an or statement, so if we change this to be like greater than, 7 is greater than 4, and 7 is greater than, like this is not true, right? This part would be true, 7 is greater than 4, but 7 is not greater than 11. So therefore this whole entire statement will evaluate to be false, so we'll go down to the else statement. If we compare that with an or statement, yeah, so let's just run this right here. So number 7, put the and in here, just demonstrate it to begin with, less than 11, should run. I think we're missing a semicolon here. The death of coding is missing a semicolon. We'll run this. 7 is greater than 4 and it's less than 11. Great. I'm just going to hit yes. If we change this to be greater than, yeah, we're going to get no, right? Because not both these things are true. Doesn't really work for our is the number thing, but just to show you. If we did or though, just one of those things has to be true. So 7 or number is greater than 4, okay, that's true. I don't really care what's going on here. Only one of the things has to be true. They could both be true. That's fine too. But at least one of them has to be true in order for it to run. Well, so that's how we use compound operators, compound comparisons.